Up, up, up. Welcome to Vintage Garage. The show today is the second half of a two-part show driving Route 66 from Chicago to Los Angeles. We're on our way to El Mirage, a dry lake just east of Los Angeles, where the Southern California Timing Association is holding their championships for land speed record cars. These are the same cars that run at the Bonneville Salt Flats, and it should be a lot of fun. Last week we drove from Chicago, Illinois to the Grand Canyon in Arizona. This week we'll complete the trip, driving the last leg of the trip from Arizona to California, and we'll cover the races at El Mirage. So stay tuned, we have a full show today. Glad you're here. We'll review a condensed version of last week's show. Our trip began as we left Rockville at 6 a.m. on Saturday morning. We're heading northwest on Interstate 270 toward Breezewood, Pennsylvania. In Breezewood, we pick up the Pennsylvania Turnpike. In a few hours, we're crossing into Ohio. Later in the afternoon, we make Indiana. It's late in the day and our co-driver is resting for the late night shift. We reach Chicago on the Illinois Skyway around 6 p.m. that same night. We head downtown to the Chicago Loop. We're pointing southbound on Michigan Ave, waiting for the light to change. We followed the bus ahead onto Adams Street. As soon as the bus turned, we began our trip out Route 66. Route 66 begins on Adams Street in downtown Chicago. We'll quickly review our trip as far as the Grand Canyon, and then we'll pick up the story from there. We stayed overnight in Willowbrook, and Sunday noon finds us on the north side of Springfield, Illinois. This is the I-55 bridge over the Mississippi, and it's late Sunday. Monday afternoon finds us driving downtown in Galena, Kansas. Tuesday morning we're in Oklahoma, just west of the 38-span bridge beyond El Reno. It's mid-afternoon on Tuesday, and we're passing the U-Drop Inn in Shamrock, Texas. It's currently under restoration. We stayed overnight in Albuquerque, and Wednesday morning finds us west of Grants, New Mexico, near the Continental Divide. We're in the town of Holbrook, Arizona. There's the Wigwam Motel. It's dawn on Thursday, and we're at the first overlook on the south rim of the Grand Canyon. This is where the show ended last week. We'll pick up now with the rest of the trip out Route 66, and then the races at El Mirage. It'll take us about an hour to get back to Williams, Arizona, and Route 66. This is Williams, Arizona, and we're back on Route 66. This is one of the longest stretches of Route 66 that's furthest from an interstate. We're headed to Seligman, Peach Springs, Hackberry, Kingman, Oatman, and finally into Needles, California. We're east of Seligman, and there's a bit of plant life here. It must be a bit wetter. This is the snow cap in Seligman, another Route 66 institution. We'll go inside and order a cheeseburger with cheese. There's the famous door with two knobs on it. Juan, the proprietor of the shop, greets us with a mustard bottle.
Give you a little mustard.
He also gives us straw for our malted.
These are the real straws, sir.
Oh, okay.
Real straws.
This is Peach Springs, the next town west of Seligman. We're stopping by a permit from the Indians to drive Peach Springs Road down to the Colorado River. This is the road to Peach Springs Canyon. We go through the Indian village of Peach Springs on the way to the canyon. The road turns to gravel at the start of the canyon. As we understand it, it's 20 miles from here to the Colorado River. This isn't too bad. There's also signs of moisture and some vegetation. That puddle is the start of Peach Springs. There's sort of an oasis to the left, with real trees. There's a small trickle of water in the stream bed to our right. There's no room for both the road and the stream through this pass, so the road runs down the middle of the stream. There's a lot of water here and a lot of plant life. Well, we're 20 miles from town and on the bank of the Colorado River. I hope we make it back. We're standing at the bottom of the Grand Canyon. The North Rim is up there. We'll head back to the town of Peach Springs and resume our trip on Route 66. I think that was hackberry. We almost missed it. This is Old Kingman, Arizona, down by the railroad station. We're west of Kingman on our way to Oatman. The road just runs across the valley floor. There are no bridges over the dry washes. The road is slow here as we climb the mountains to Oatman. We just came over the hill here to find we're in Oatman. We were the only car on the road, and now we're in a traffic jam. The road down the west side of the mountain is much easier. We must be getting close to the Colorado River. There are real trees here, and they don't look to be irrigated. We're on the bridge over the Colorado River. There's more sea containers heading east. California is just ahead. We're on Interstate 40 in California, heading to Needles. I-40 shares the same alignment here with Route 66. We're on a long stretch of the old road, and the sun is almost set. Needles is about 5 miles ahead. We'll stop there for the night. We have our baggies and our Mirage sandals, and now that we're in California, the next order of business is to get our bushy blonde hair. A little Revlon Color Silk number 71, and we're good to go. It's Friday morning, and we're leaving Needles on Old Route 66 for Los Angeles, Sunset Strip, and Santa Monica. There's sort of an oasis here with some big palm trees. This road has some traffic. It's also the road from Needles to Las Vegas. After the train passes, that truck will head north to Las Vegas. We turn west here toward Goffs to stay on Old Route 66. We're the only ones on the road again as we press westward. It seems like we've been paralleling the train tracks all the way since Chicago. We're in the Mojave Desert, and it's pretty deserted. This small hill gives a good view of the desert ahead. That was the Roadrunners restaurant west of Chambliss, now closed. This is Amboy, population 20. Roy's Motel and Restaurant is on the right. That black mound of lava is Amboy Crater. This is Ludlow, California. This is Barstow. We're coming into Victorville. This bridge is pretty impressive, especially since there's no water under it. We just went over Cajon Summit on Interstate 15. I-15 and Route 66 share this same right-of-way. Route 66 is below grade from the interstate up to our left, and is called Cajon Boulevard. It runs from here all the way into San Bernardino in LA. Route 66 used to be a 4-lane here, but it's been downgraded to just 2 lanes. Cajon Boulevard ends here in San Bernardino, and we turn due south on Mount Vernon. We turned off Mount Vernon onto 5th Street, and now we're heading due west. It's appropriate at this point to say that we're rolling stately into Big LA. 5th Street becomes Foothill Boulevard. The speed limit is 50 here, and the motels look like typical Route 66 motels. And there's another Wigwam motel. We're on Huntington, passing Eastern Avenue on the left. We're crossing the LA River, which is now just a concrete trough. This stretch of Sunset Boulevard is called Cesar Chavez Boulevard. We're on Sunset, and we just passed Coronado. We saw the Hollywood sign up on the hill for the first time. The more modern alignment of Route 66 goes down Santa Monica Boulevard. We're taking the Sunset Boulevard alignment through Hollywood because it's late Friday night and we want to come off the line at Sunset and Vine, fly past La Brea, Schwab's, and Crescent Heights. When we get to Doheny, we plan to go into a swerve, but we'll save it before we get to Dead Man's Curve. We're coming off the line at Sunset and Vine. We're crossing La Brea. The Virgin Records megastore on the left sits on the old location of Schwab's Pharmacy at the corner of Sunset and Laurel. This is Crescent Heights. This is Doheny Drive. If you go straight when sunset bears left, you head into Beverly Hills on Doheny. We think this downhill S-curve may be Dead Man's Curve. We moved over to the newer alignment on Santa Monica Boulevard. This is downtown Santa Monica. It's taken us most of one day to go 80 miles from San Bernardino to Santa Monica. This is Santa Monica and Lincoln, the end of Route 66. We're now a few blocks west of Lincoln, and Santa Monica Boulevard ends at the palm trees on the beach up ahead. This is the famous Santa Monica Pier on the Pacific Ocean. We'll end our Route 66 video trip here. After a week on the road, we're looking for a little R&R tonight. It's Saturday morning, and we're going east now on 138 out of Palmdale on our way to El Mirage. It took us 6 hours last night to drive the interstate from Santa Monica to Palmdale, a distance of perhaps 50 miles. We don't really know the way to El Mirage. We figure the guy up ahead with the land speed car on his trailer does, so we'll tuck in and follow him. We're driving directly into the early morning sun. We see El Mirage just ahead. We arrived safely at El Mirage, and the lake is in perfect condition. We're standing at about the midpoint of the course. The course isn't open yet, but engines are warming up. Let's walk around and look at the cars. This is the B-Fuel Roadster known as Brower & Sons. This is the D-blown gas Roadster called Simon Beck Davidson. This is the Fairly Honest B-Fuel Roadster. The 141 is an A-gas competition coupe called Thayer Heathcote Hill. This Studebaker is the C-Fuel altered coupe called No Problem Racing. The number 26 is the XF blown vintage fuel competition coupe known as Tom Muff Deming. This is 3D Racing, a C-gas roadster. This is an XO gas roadster known as Tom's Muffler Deming, and it's one of our favorite cars. The 102 is the XO production car called Brew 102. This Corvette is called Sundowner, and it runs in C-blown Grand Touring. The number 289 is the C-gas altered called Hodges and Hedrick. Some of the drivers are warming up their engines. The course will be open soon. This is the number 4710, a modified diesel truck. It started life as a Chevy pickup truck. The workmanship is amazing. Over here, Alan Rice and Mark Vigent are packing the chute on the Rice Vigent Racing H-Gas Lakester. What's the power in this car?
Well, it's got a Suzuki Hayabusa 1300, well actually now 1430cc motorcycle engine.
And what's its top speed?
That was at Bonneville. Here we're hoping in the mid 170s.
We've done 169 out here.
This is the fuel altered known as Bob Stahl Racing. This is Chilson Racing, a G-blown gas Lakester. There's a few cars on trailers over in line for tech inspection. This is the Summers Banalo Special, an A-gas Lakester. The 911 is called Snow End of Trail, and it's a C-blown gas-modified roadster. We really like this car. It's the V4 gas roadster called Stewart Family and Creel. The F-Fuel roadster called H&H Motorsports is going through tech inspection. The 328 is Don Belt Enterprises, which runs in G production. There's a short line at registration. We'll get in line and buy a pass. It turns out there's no charge for spectators. It's hard to beat that. Over next to the registration trailer is Costella and Yakusi, a G Fuel streamliner. When we shoot into the sun, you get a good look at the surface of the dry lake bed. This is the 808, the 8-ball, an XF blown gas roadster. The course is open and Tom Muff Deming gets a push off the line. The A-blown gas altered Kelly Prentice is on the course. It runs 214 miles an hour. This is the A-gas coupe called Edwall and Winter. It runs 162. This is Daughters 4, a C Street Roadster. It does 161.
Car 300 on the course. Looking for 184.800. That's record.
We're back over at the midpoint of the course in time to see this Lakester run. This is the Summers Banalo Special, the A-Gas Lakester. It runs 221 miles an hour. Here comes Farrell, Manoni, and Wolfson, the XS Gas Coupe. It runs 149 miles an hour. This is the Costella Special, a B-Fuel streamliner. He runs 226. Let's crank up the sound and listen to the next few runs. Bonneville Bob, a B-gas modified roadster. It runs 207. This is the last run for our day. The runs are over for the day, and as we leave El Mirage and head for home, we make a pledge to ourselves to return one year with a land speed car of our own. We're heading due east now toward Victorville. Rather than retrace our steps back Route 66, we'll take the southern route home through Yuma, Tucson, and El Paso. We'll be back in the shop in another 6 days. That's it for this week at Vintage Garage. Next week we have another full show. It'll be our last show for this season, and we'll wrap up some loose ends. First, we'll unload and sort out the new Titan Mark 6 project car that we bought. Then we'll take a field trip to the SVRA season finale vintage races at Virginia International Raceway. Lastly, we'll continue the assembly of the Titan Mark 9 we're restoring. So until next week, thanks for coming. Glad you were here. Keep the shiny side up. We'll see you next week. Information about any of the projects we've worked on today, please visit our website at www.vintagegarage.com. There's a link to our email address on the website. Please email us. We'd like to hear from you. Till next time, keep the shiny side up. Thanks for coming. See you next week.